It happens sometimes when someone passes away that the authorities are unable to identify them, dubbing them a John or Jane Doe, which is such a shame for that person as well as their loved ones who miss them. On today's list, I'm going to be covering just a few of the darkest John Doe cases, and who knows, maybe somebody somewhere who sees this will have some information that could be useful. Before we dive into the video, you guys, I do just want to let you know that this is a little bit of a dark one today. We are obviously talking about people who have lost their lives and the details surrounding that, which is scary and sad and sometimes deeply, deeply disturbing. And I just want you guys to proceed with caution on this one. Let's get into the list. On our number 10 spot today, we have the Jackson County John Doe. In 1981, a man was struck by a vehicle and has never been able to be identified. This would have just been a regular, albeit tragic, John Doe case, but it really took an even darker turn. In 2014, a newspaper published a morgue photo of this John Doe in an attempt to receive some new leads. Well, they got more than they bargained for when somebody contacted authorities saying that the man looked like one in the FBI's most wanted list. This person thought that the John Doe looked like William Bradford Bishop Jr., who was wanted for taking the lives of his wife, mother, and children in 1976. Because of this tip, the authorities had to exhume the body of the John Doe, who turned out to not be this killer at all. Unfortunately, the John Doe has still never been identified. He was described as approximately 55 years old, a white male with blue eyes, brown and gray hair, about 5 feet and 9 inches tall, and 155 pounds. Anyone with information on this John Doe should contact the Scottsboro Police Department. In our number 9 spot today, we have the ETOWAH County John Doe. In 1998, the remains of a young male were found by some men who were fishing. He was estimated to have been around 17 to 21 years old, which is already sad enough, but then they found out that he had been killed by someone else. He had multiple bullet wounds to his head as well as stab wounds. Scientists did their best to create a facial reconstruction, but they had to estimate his jaw area because his mandible was never found, along with other limbs that were apparently also missing. Because his body was pretty decomposed and had evidence of it being lit on fire, they don't have a ton of descriptive details available, but he is said to have been a black male around 5'6" to 5'9". His remains are stored at the Forensic Anthropology Center at the University of Tennessee. If you have any information, you can contact Tony Driscoll at the Gadsden Police Department or the Forensic Anthropology Center at the University of Tennessee. In our number 8 spot today, we have this Regina John Doe, who is also known as Dave. This one, you guys, is actually from my own hometown. On July 28, 1995, the Regina police were called to a Canadian Pacific Railway crossing after someone had witnessed a young man walk in front of an oncoming train. He unfortunately took his own life, but authorities could not identify who this man was. There was a composite sketch drawn of him that was put into newspapers, but no one ever came forward with any information that led to a true identification. A hitchhiker came forward a few days after the incident happened and explained that he had traveled to Regina with this man and that he had said that his name was Dave, but little more than that was known about him. The man didn't have any scars or tattoos that could easily identify him, and there weren't any missing people in the area who matched his description. His fingerprints were searched in Canada, the US, and internationally, but no match was ever found. The authorities collected his DNA, dental charts were made with extensive x-rays and photographs in the hope that one day he will be identified. He was described as a white male around 20 to 30 years old with short, medium brown hair. He was 5'9" and weighed around 140 to 160 pounds. One thing that doesn't really matter, but I found super strange when I read it, was that Dave was wearing a pair of size 12.5 blue and white Reebok runners, but his feet were only size 9 3/4. Again, it's not super important, but I just thought it was strange and it just left me with an eerie feeling. The Regina Police Cold Case Unit, along with the coroner's office, continue to work on the case, trying to figure out who Dave really was. If anyone has any information, please contact either the Office of the Chief Coroner for South Saskatchewan or the Regina Police Cold Case Unit. In our number 7 spot today, we have a Hamilton John Doe. On Monday, April 9th, 2007, a person was walking their dog when they saw an object laying in the ditch. As they got closer to investigate, they realized that the object was actually a human skull, and they called the authorities. A few days later, the Hamilton police with the search and rescue teams as well as cadaver dogs set out to search the area surrounding this gruesome discovery. After only 1 hour, they were able to find the rest of the remains that matched the skull that had been found. They were never able to confirm a cause of death, and they believe that the death occurred in the summer or fall of 2006, but say that they can't rule out the possibility of it having happened in the spring of 2006 or even the fall of 2005. They compared this information to all of the missing persons cases they had, but they have never been able to identify this man or exactly what happened to him. He was 40 to 65 years old, had no upper teeth, he had gray hair that was about 2 to 3 inches long, and was somewhere from 5'6" to 6 feet tall. Any information is asked to be passed to Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS or to the OPP Missing Persons and Unidentified Bodies Unit. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Woodlawn Jane Doe. In September of 1976, a woman who had been killed was discovered in Woodlawn, Baltimore County, Maryland. Whoever took her life was certainly a monster because there are some pretty gruesome details that I'm just not going to go into on this video. She had a large amount of chlorpromazine in her stomach when she was found, which is a drug that is used to treat schizophrenia. It is unclear whether she or the person who did this to her were the ones who were using the drug, but authorities were hoping that it would tie one of them to a mental institution. She had also been wrapped in a sheet that was similar to ones that are provided at inpatient institutions. She had a tattoo of initials that read either JP, SS, or JB, and a scar on her upper right thigh. She may have gone by the name Jasmine or Jazzy. She was somewhere from 15 to 30 years old with dark brown to black shoulder-length hair with a dark olive complexion. Her race has actually never been confirmed, but medical examiners believe she was either white or possibly South American. Any tips are asked to be directed to Metro Crime Stoppers by phone, text, or online. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Garfield Heights John Doe. In 1991, when some children were playing in the woods, they unfortunately stumbled upon human remains. They never actually ended up doing a reconstruction of this John Doe, but I'm not entirely sure why. He was estimated to be from 18 to 21 years old and was a black male. His weight could not be estimated, but he had short black curly hair and was around 5'6". When he was found, he was almost just completely skeleton, and they honestly aren't exactly sure when or how he died. I wish I had more information to share about this man, but unfortunately there just isn't a lot that was known from the get-go. One very notable thing about this case that has stuck with a lot of people is the fact that a note was found in his shoe. The note read, "For Daddy, we can't wait to see you. Love, Cynthia and Boo Boo. Miss you." It is never nice or pleasant for someone to have lost their life, but this note really adds something to this case. It's obvious he had a family that cared a lot about him and who are missing him. Any information is asked to be passed to Thomas Gilson at the Cuyahoga County Coroner's Office. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Jefferson County Jane Doe. In January of 1993, the head of a woman was found in Wayne Fitzgerald State Park. Unfortunately, the rest of her body has never been found, which is both deeply disturbing as well as frustrating since it has left authorities with very little to go on. One thing that they were able to figure out from the head was that whoever this woman was, she suffered from a condition called torticollis or wry neck, which would have caused her head to be slightly tilted towards the left. This is a really rare condition, so people who knew her really should have had an easy time recognizing her, or at least coming forward if they knew anyone with the condition who had gone missing. People think that the head may have been thrown out of a car window as it drove past, which is just so creepy and so upsetting. She would have been somewhere from 30 to 50 years old with shoulder-length reddish-brown hair. Anyone with information about this case should direct it to the Illinois State Police Zone 7 investigations. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Markham Doe. In July of 1980, the skeletal remains of a human were found in Markham, Ontario in Canada. Based on context clues, it is presumed that the Doe was a transgender woman, but of course that is just speculation based on the evidence present. In 2009, there was a lead that the Doe might have been a person who had been missing from Ontario named Mario Palermo, but unfortunately a DNA test turned out to be negative and the trail went cold again. It wasn't until much later after the body was initially found that they would come to realize this person was most likely a victim of serial killer James Henry Greenbridge. This Doe was estimated to be 20 to 50 years old, around 5'4" to 5'7", and somewhere from 99 to 121 pounds. They also had brown hair that was around 4 inches long. Anyone with information about this case should contact the York Regional Police Homicide and Missing Persons Unit, or more specifically, Detective David McDonald. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Miami Beach John Doe. In December of 2009, a man was found floating face down by a couple who were walking along the beach in Miami Beach. There weren't any obvious signs of trauma, so authorities really aren't exactly sure what happened to this man or if foul play was involved. One of the most striking things about this case to me is the fact that he was 6'9". I feel like the average person is not that tall, and coupled with the fact that his face was fully recognizable, I feel like he should have been able to be easily identified. He was wearing swim trunks, so it's possible he may have just been swept out to sea, but he also had on shoes and a watch. His estimated time of death was just a few hours prior to his body being found. There is just something about this man being so recognizable and being found so quickly that just really makes me feel like something sinister was going on here. He was estimated to be 25 to 40 years old. He was 6'9" and 335 pounds with short brown hair and brown eyes and a clean-shaven face. Anyone with information can contact Brittany McLaurin at the District 11 Miami-Dade County Medical Examiner's Office or Kenny Matthews at the Miami Beach Police Department. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Coney Island Creek Jane Doe, who also is known as Monique. In January of 2015, 3 birdwatchers in a park in the Gravesend area of Brooklyn, Kings County, New York, found a decomposed right hand laying in the sand. The hand was right on the shoreline of Coney Island Creek, and it seemed as though it had been in the water for quite some time. The next day, authorities searched the area and found a foot, which had been smoothly cut around the ankle. For the next 3 months, they were unable to find any more parts until on March 22nd, 3 teenagers headed into a wooded area near the creek, around 1,000 yards from where the other parts had been found. The teenagers saw the skeleton of a rib cage and spine and of course called the police. Authorities searched again and found a leg on the ground and an elbow hanging from a tree. Upon examination, they could confirm that all parts belonged to the same person. There isn't much to go on, but it seems that this Jane Doe was put into the water, and when they washed ashore, they were dragged to their different locations by animals. This Jane Doe is described as a black female from 20 to 45 years old. She was most likely around 5'3" to 5'9". Although a head was not found, through DNA mapping, it is most likely she had black hair and brown eyes. There has been a facial approximation made of what she may have looked like. She had a tattoo on her right calf that was red and green. It was a heart and a rose with the name Monique. Investigators are unsure if that was her name or the name of someone close to her. Other details are that she had a broken rib at some point in her life, and that she had a mesh artery stent within the tissue of her pelvis and an intrauterine device, which means that she has definitely had surgery before. Anyone with information on this case are asked to contact the New York City Police Department or the New York City Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, or if you wish to remain anonymous, you can do so by calling New York Crime Stoppers. Alright, you guys, that has been our list for today. I really appreciate you sticking it out with me all the way to the end. I don't even know what to say. Oh gosh, I just have... Ugh. I've been your host, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. There we go. There we go. We did it. It went. Okay, about 5 feet. Why doesn't it? I'm using a teleprompter that like scrolls to the sound of your voice, and it's not scrolling to the sound of my voice right now. And that's annoying. Sorry, I need some water. Water! Drink a gallon of water a day. Peeing all the time, but chlorpromazine? Chlorpromazine. She had a large amount of chlorpromazine. God, this one's so sad. I'm just like alone, upset right now. Okay, that was weird. That was a sad one today, guys. Sorry, editor. Whoever has to edit this. Thank you. Sorry it was sad. But maybe they'll be identified one day. I hope so.